Okay, let's move on to the guy listening or the girl listening, had their babies, or they just are keen to start with an half Ironman. So, and they get to you sign on online. And how does this process start? How do you measure? Where do you start?
By the time they've gotten to me, I realized they've already booked accommodation, entered the race, bought the running shoes. So they want to start tomorrow. So it's quite a quick process by the time they've gotten to me. It's quite an overwhelming thing once you look at the distances and all that you need to cover and balance it. But I always start out with just number one is what injuries are you carrying and stuff like that. And then just how much time they have on their hands. It's usually a call or a bit of understanding of what goes on in their life. And then we just start to build consistency on that from there. And what are the expectations from it? That's a big thing. And I myself, I'm 42 and I have a 9-month-old child. And I've realized after 10, 15 years of doing this with all the time in my hands, now realizing that there's very little time in my hands because there is a child walking around or crawling around, and trying to really get a grasp of how much time they have to train and just what the expectations are from what their goals are. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about expectations. So if you start off, you've got, let's say, the average guy, let's talk about a 40-year-old. So he's got to do 3 disciplines, and let's say he has to do at least 2 hours, I presume, on each discipline in a week. Mm-hmm. So that takes you to 6 hours already. So it's almost a whole new day that they have to plan some way. So is that about correct, or do they have to do more or less? Or
most athletes would have favored one of those by the time they've gotten to me. So they have been cycling, they have been running. Hardly anyone has a swimming background. I don't know what it is, but we all had pools and oceans. Well, the coastal guys had oceans and inland had pools, but just no one seems to have a swimming background. But usually they've favored one. They've had a running background or a cycling background. And then it's identifying what the weakness is and what they really need to work on and all that. But it is a lot of puzzle building because you need to get in all. The ideal week, if everyone had all the time on their hands with a job and children, would be 3 swims, 3 to 4 bikes, and 2 to 3 runs. But not everyone has that time. So it is a bit of shifting around and where the focus needs to lie going forward.
At what point, time-wise, if a client tells you, listen, I've only got X amount of hours, would you say that's not enough? It's a difficult question because it will differ between different persons and age groups, but just more or less a ballpark figure.
I need at least half an hour a day, and my programs and a lot of these programs are based on consistency, and you get a lot of guys that only have weekends and stuff. And then I will be honest and say, like, you can do it and you can get the medal, and we could probably all go and fight for that medal, but it's what it's going to do to affect your life going on from there, because it's just how much it impacts you, the actual events, more than the training. But I like consistency. It doesn't have to be every day, but at least doing 5 out of the 7 days something, whether it be one or the other, but at least 30 minutes. So there is some activity on the body, you get busy. And so people will then not train during the week and then bang out massive long weekend sessions, but nothing really been gained by that other than ruining your weekend and making yourself tired into the week. So at least 30 minutes a day, 5 out of the 7 days of the week. You can do something with that. Yeah.